Hasa Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. Okay, so we're a month into the Vasa period. This is the full moon of August, and various people have been doing solitary retreats. Others are plugging into the routine, and I say this is my first range retreat, first Vasa at Amaravati. So just seeing the rhythm of life and seeing the kind of, or not so much see it, feeling, just kind of feeling the way that people are attending to the training, and of course there's Vinaya training for the monastics, monastic communities, and but also the commitment to the cultivation of the heart. In the Buddhist teaching, in the teaching that Ajahn Chah, how he taught and trained, I think one of the things that, a theme that would come up quite regularly in Ajahn Chah's teachings would be the kind of juxtaposition of in Thai, samut and vimut, and sort of the conventional and the transcendent, and it's an interesting theme or perspective to be attending to, in that there's and certainly the just even when we do the chanting on a regular basis, the Buddha points to this Dhamma being timeless and imminent here and now. And that being said, of course, he gave a lot of teachings on how to cultivate the practice, how to engage in training oneself. And certainly Ajahn Chah did the same thing. And one of the teachings that has always kind of resonated with me or struck me is a teaching that the Buddha gave to a monk, Meghiya, who was keen on realizing the teachings, keen on sort of penetrating the fruits of the practice. And the story goes with Meghiya being the Buddha's attendant. This would be So this would be fairly early days of the Buddha's dispensation, because Ananda was the Buddha's attendant for, say, the final 25 years of the Buddha's dispensation. So within the first 15 years, then there were a variety of different monks was the Buddha's attendant, and until I think the Buddha got fed up with all the different attendance styles, maybe, and was looking for more consistency. So Ananda stepped forward. But this was a period prior to Ananda, so it was the monk Meghiya was the Buddha's attendant, and the Meghiya went on alms round one day and saw a beautiful mango grove outside the village, and wanted to he said that would be a great place to go and practice. And so he requested the Buddha to take leave and go and practice in solitude, with the idea of, he really wanted to do the practice. And the Buddha said, well, wait, Meghiya, until I'm alone right now. Wait until I have some other monk shows up to take on the duties of the attendant. And Meghiya was very impatient, burning to realize the Dhamma, go and practice on his own. And he asked the Buddha, up to 3 times, and sort of saying that, the Tathagata, the Blessed One, doesn't have any more work to do, but I still have to realize the teachings and realize the goal. And finally the Buddha relented after 3 times, saying, well, seeing you speak of practicing and with this wish to realize go ahead. And so then Meghiya went off to go and practice in solitude and really do it. And he said and his own kind of reflection back is, this is amazing, this is astounding. Here I am, got the opportunity to practice completely and fully, and my mind's totally obsessed with thoughts of greed and sensuality, thoughts of anger and ill will, and thoughts of harming, sort of basically the 3 forms of wrong thought. And I ended up just getting more and more stirred up and restless and confused, and then went back to the Buddha and related what had happened, and then the Buddha gave a teaching, which is, again, the sort of to me the importance of laying down the foundations of the practice, because it's always noble to have these thoughts. I just want to realize Nibbana. I just want to be liberated. I'm done with the world. And of course, I think we've all experienced that. okay, I really want to be peaceful. I've really got the opportunity to practice now, and it doesn't quite go as we thought it would or hoped it would. And the Buddha said, right, there's 5 supportive conditions for supporting the mind's that is immature to foster its maturing in release and being able to develop. And the first condition that the Buddha points to is to dwell with admirable people that are good spiritual companions, have basically good friends in the Dhamma, good partners in the holy life. So that this Kalyanamitta is, and this is something that comes up over and over and over again in the Buddha's teachings, how important it is that we do draw close to the sense of having good companionship. And good companionship doesn't necessarily mean, and as we all know, living in Sangha, living in community. We don't always necessarily like each other, but you're living with trustworthy people, living with people who are committed to living a life of training, living a life of aspiration for developing a holy life. And so it's a sense of this is the first condition. The second condition is to be committed to the sila, committed to the precepts, committed to virtue, and particularly for, say, us as monastics, committed to the rules that we have committed to, the Patimokkha training, and that and being assiduous in trying to maintain those standards of practice, of training, of ways of living that are committed to hiri and ottappa. I'd say if we're thinking into again the sense of these being the supportive conditions for the maturing of the heart, and that how to, because a mind that still gets lost in its moods, gets lost in its distractions, seeks some kind of complications where we don't need to complicate anything, and we still get tangled up in the complications of the mind. That is an immature mind, immature heart. Needs to be matured, so that having good spiritual companions, having a commitment to the training in our precepts of integrity and virtue. There's a anchoring and settling quality to that. That's really important. Third condition that the Buddha pointed to was the being able to drawing close to people so that one is hearing talk that's conducive to growth in the Dhamma. Talk on just that's concerned with the Dhamma. It's not concerned with worldly things. It's not just frivolous talk, or it's not talk that is stirring up moods of irritation or ill will, or stirring up thoughts of desire and attraction, or stirring up confusion. But hearing talk that is focused on simplicity, on living simply, on thoughts concerned with renunciation, talk that's concerned with renunciation. It's concerned with talking about the speech that focuses around cultivation, development of the path, of the good examples of noble conduct and of meditation, of wisdom, of liberation and release. So that say not only one's own speech, but then that's what we're hearing with others. Is that these are supportive conditions, and that's especially when you think in terms of, say, as a Kalyanamitta. We are able to draw close to good spiritual companions, but it's also we have the opportunity to be good spiritual companions to others, and truly one of the ways to be a good spiritual companion, a spiritual friend, is paying attention to one's speech, because we distract each other in so many ways, or we stir each other up in ways, or create discontent in ourselves and those around us, and that's that's missing the opportunity to be a good spiritual companion, because the more we're committed to that for ourselves, then of course that has a tremendous effect on supporting the maturing of our faculties, maturing of our own hearts towards inclining toward renunciation and release. This is the fourth quality that the condition that the Buddha pointed to, was that that's supportive of maturation of our faculties, is being devoted to cultivation of the relinquishing the unwholesome and cultivation of the wholesome and the skillful. Pretty basic on one level, but how often do we distract ourselves with the unskillful, the unwholesome, the unhelpful, and it's only when we really start suffering that we say, oh, why the heck did I do that? What was the point of that? And then get tangled up in a bunch of remorse or regret. And so it's better to have the commitment to cultivation of that refraining or relinquishing of the unskillful, and a commitment to the lifting up the the wholesome, the skillful, the good, the beautiful. Because we can do that. We can encourage ourselves to incline to the wholesome, the skillful, the beautiful, that is inherent within all of us. And the more we do that, the more, say, that commitment to a diligence and an energized practice we have, the more uplifted and bright the heart becomes. It's just very natural. The last condition that the Buddha points to as a support is the aspect of to be very discerning, pay attention to that paying attention, the discerning, a wise attention to the arising and ceasing. It's just so that that's how we that fundamental turning to what's happening already. Things are arising and ceasing all the time anyway, and usually what we do is say chase after what's arising and get moan and groan over what's ceasing, or just react with our likes and our dislikes toward arising and ceasing, rather than say, how can we attend to this arising and ceasing of phenomena in a way that leads to the right ending of dukkha. That's what the Buddha is. Whenever the Buddha defines wisdom throughout the suttas, almost invariably, that's the definition. Is the discerning the arising and ceasing in a way that leads to the ending of dukkha. It's not something all that special or that unreachable or unrealizable by anybody. It's just that one has to exercise one's discernment to pay attention to in the right way, and the human heart is so easily distracted, and this sense of paying attention to the supportive conditions, so that there is a maturing of this release of the heart. And so the Buddha in the discourse, the Buddha sort of reiterates that sense of, if one has, he ties it back to Kalyanamitta, that admirable friendship, admirable companionship. So if one does have that connection with good spiritual companions, it's to be expected that one would be keeping a high standard of virtue and integrity. It's quite a natural result. If one has this good, draws close to good spiritual companions. Having good spiritual companions, it's to be expected that one would hear good speech, hear talk on things that are really uplifting and useful. If one has good spiritual companions, then it's to be expected that one will put forth effort in a skillful way one has good spiritual companions, and it's to be expected that one would be wise and discerning, and so that this is a natural, a natural maturing, and even though there's a naturalness to it, one has to pay attention to all these supportive conditions. It's something that is, in terms of practice and training, it's important to reflect on what is it that we can be doing, and what's useful to be cultivating. Because sometimes we can put tremendous amount of effort into some aspects of the training, but then not be too. It's like our blind spots, we don't recognize them. So there's like paying attention to the, what was the advice that the Buddha gave? What did the Buddha say about this? How did the Buddha encourage us? And so that there's this sense of attending to the various supportive conditions is really, really critical because we can't just. It's not an act of will to. Okay, I'm just going to let go of greed, hatred, and delusion, and experience nibbana. Nice idea, but doesn't usually work like that. It's just not that direct. The heart needs to mature, and we need to steep ourselves in the conditions that are supportive. And in saying that, but it's also this like as both the Buddha, great teachers, Ajahn Chah, Luang Por Pasanno, the conventional realities in truth, they live side by side with the transcendent, and so that is something that is realizable, each person for themselves. And the Buddha is very, upfront about that. This is realizable by us all. This is possible. And there's one the Buddha says, if it was not possible, I wouldn't teach it. But because it's possible, I do teach it. And that is to be able to pay attention to this laying the foundations so solidly that that's what the heart inclines to. Of course, in the same sutta, the Buddha also points to, with those 5 conditions, what are they? There's 4 other elements that are very helpful, and just into the contemplation development of asubha practices, contemplation of the unattractive nature of the body, 32 parts of the body, 4 elements, in order to counter the habits of being seduced by attraction or sensuality, or to even just distraction in the pleasing, because it's something we get caught up in. But also the cultivation of metta bhavana, loving kindness, compassion, to counter the tendency to ill will, to negativity, to aversion. And this, we need to be, how do we balance our minds? And this, because that's the, say it's not, say the problem is not that we don't have, say, the intelligence or the awareness to realize, but sort of we tend to be just out of balance and not quite in balance, not quite in tune. And that is so much of the practice that we do, is figuring how do we tune into truth, and how do we tune into liberation. Again, it's not a matter of just somehow forcing the mind into the mold of freedom, but it's tuning into it, so balancing the heart, so that this is the characteristics of a mature heart. The Buddha also points to mindfulness of breathing. Cultivate mindfulness of breathing to counter the discursive thought, the addiction to proliferation of thinking. The mind rattles on sometimes. Just how do we rest the mind? It's like Luang Por Pasanno asking Ajahn Chah, what is samadhi anyway? What's samadhi? What is this sort of tranquility of mind, of samadhi? Luang Por Pasanno, samadhi is it's like a holiday for the heart. It's the resting of the heart. Kan pakpata jitjai. And that's it's not usually how we experience it. It's seeing it as taking a break from all the proliferation that we go through. And the last quality that the Buddha points to as again a support for the practice is a contemplation of impermanence, of inconstancy, change, uncertainty. So in order to, particularly seeing that sense of impermanence and change, counters the solidity of the feeling I am. And it's that, and strengthens that the perception, understanding, penetration of not self. This is, and because it's that relinquishing of that I am obsession that opens up the doors to the experience of freedom, of liberation. Buddhists, the releasing and relinquishing of the I am position is nibbana here and now. It's a very categorical kind of pointing at this, the ability to not be entangled in the I-making, mind-making, underlying tendency to conceit. Ahankara, mamankara, mana, nutsaya. These are things that the Buddha points to as foundations of entanglement in samsara, and the experience of freedom, of the peace of nibbana, is just in untangling the I am. And it's something that we make. It's I-making. Ahankara, that's in the Pali, the kara is the verb to make. We're making it. It's not, it's something we're creating and then getting tangled up in. Just learning how to just put it down. Doesn't need to be created. So that these are perspectives that I think are, it's important to recognize that we do have, although we can't just force the mind into peace and liberation, what we can do is attend wisely to what supports it, what encourages, what is a foundation. How do we lay the foundation so that the heart's heart's release has the best conditions for maturing. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.